And welcome back to the LCO. It is time for series number 2 as we got some other Titan teams looking to run amok out on the Rift. It's going to be quite good as it is Kanga versus Antic. Two teams both willing to make their mark and step up their gameplay. And we'll have a quick look at Kanga. First off the draft here, Skimmy.
That they are, yep, still the same squad of Woodon, Refury, Sovereign, Vendrick, as well as Gaben. And look, I'm really excited to try and see what they can bring out on today's occasion, right? Still searching for that win, still hoping to find a little bit of form because it's going to be so difficult to try and scrape your way into playoffs now. But there is still that very slim, odd chance. But going into Antic, knowing just how strong they are, and knowing that they're probably going to be doing a little bit of angry gaming to bounce back after that 2-0 defeat to Bliss.
I think the big thing as well is they haven't had a full-on roster change since the initial one, putting Refury into that sort of jungle position. So I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how it's going to play out. But they're up against Antic, one of the top dogs there, Tally, and these guys, you got to be a bit concerned.
Yeah, we do have a few things to be concerned about when we look at Antic, but I think that it's time for them to like bounce back and have that really clean game against Kanga. We expect the same performance from last series to happen this series. I think that with the divide in strength right now between our like major top teams in the bottom of the league, I think that we should see another very clean performance from Antic, and anything less would probably make them feel a bit shaky heading into playoffs.
I think the major thing that we sort of have touched on at least in our back end that we've been talking about is it's all about Raze. It's the Raze show when it comes to this roster. Is if you give this man an inch, he'll take a mile. And he's really shown that. He's really played fantastically on a lot of just carry champions, but high mobility champions too. So are we expecting to see anything else like that here, Skimmy?
I would think so. I mean, I know a lot of his best champions are the immobile ones. You think of like the Draven, the Aphelios, the Varus that come to mind, so to speak. But I feel like as the weeks are going by, more and more of this priority is that you need to be mobile. He's the only person that's going to play that Tristana in the AD position, which would be the flex. But when you see it, you go, is that really a champion that Incursio is going to play? It doesn't really seem like one that is going to get too threatened as such. But yeah, they do definitely have their own meta where other teams are going to go for the classic double AD carry with the jungler, a few frontliners in there, happy days, right, where it very much is like Raze against the world. And we saw, obviously it works really well because he will pick up all the kills, but all it takes is one bit of CC, one slight misstep, and you saw how the likes of Bliss and Aladoric yesterday were able to try and shut that one down.
Well, we'll have to see if Kanga's going to pull out something very similar, but let's have a quick look at our mid lane instead, as these are two players that are fairly new, fairly fresh, and at least Cursio's back, but we're looking at their head-to-head of their champions played. And the big thing of note, Tally, is we're seeing a lot of just very aggression, but Incursio's played Hui 4 times, and we're seeing Malphite mid, which seems to be one of Sovereign's big picks.
Yeah, I think the Malphite as an answer to Tristana is pretty good because you can never jump in on the trade. We saw how well that was going to, into Harry, even though he was eking out little advantages, he was just unable to really snowball his lane, and I think that was just a really good answer from him. Whereas we look at Incursio's pool, I think we see a lot of success when he picks up these melee mid laners and he's able to skirmish. I think that the blanket like Hui and Ari picks are just safe laners, very solid scalers who can be that AP role for the team. But I just really like to see Incursio on the Akali, even though last night on the Yoni wasn't able to have that same excelling performance we're used to seeing. It still fit the comp and it looked much more comfortable for him in lane. So I'd really like to see more of these champs come out from him.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see as well. We're just waiting on the Katarina gameplay. It might get banned, it might not. That's okay. But we're waiting on it. We've all got fingers crossed. But let's jump back again to the bot lane. Let's have a quick chat with Vendrick from Kanga, joining us on the desk this evening, looking to make his mark and join us. Mate, how are you doing? 3 redheads. Whoa. This is a party and a half.
What's happening here?
Be right back again.
Let's touch it for good luck.
Touch it? I like it. Vendrick, mate, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing quite well. Just kind of chilling. Playing on the new unlocked accounts, losing an emerald. You know how it is.
Look, been there, done that, still doing that. That's fine. Now, mate, I want to quickly ask you as well. Like, how's the champion pool looking? I think the meta's slowly starting to change. Are we seeing a little bit more excitement out of this bot lane from you?
No, not particularly. I mean, I think our strategies when it comes to picking haven't really changed too much. I mean, yeah, I think we just generally pick the same things most games. We do have a lot more champions that we can pick. It's just if the enemy gives us the certain champions every game, we kind of just play it because it's what we've practiced the most. Hopefully highest chance of winning, maybe not. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, I got to add on to that. How's the confidence feeling? Like, you guys have had a bit of a rough run, but is the confidence, the morale still there?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have, like, our confidence isn't necessarily bad. We're just, I guess we're just trying our best, I suppose. Very much trying to learn how to play the game better. Not really focusing like, oh, we must make playoffs, or we must beat Ground Zero, you know, such and such. It's just one step at a time because we're pretty bad currently. So it's just trying to look to improve, maybe next split or something realistically, but we just try our best.
That's the best mentality I think you could have, honestly. Is it's just as long as you're focusing on the current game and looking to improve where you can, that's the best that you can do. But Tally.
Oh, hello first. You know, nice to talk to you for the first time.
Hello.
But I guess I would like
nice.
to ask. I guess I would like to ask what you believe is the main pain point for your team currently, because we're used to seeing pretty good early games from you and Gavin especially, but we're not really seeing that same power in the mid game. So like, what do you think is like that major pain point for your roster currently?
No, we get kind of dizzy, to be honest. I don't even think the opponent needs to make us dizzy. We make ourselves dizzy. So yeah, our mid games are shockingly bad. It's actually quite impressive, actually. So I think we just kind of don't know how to play comp super well, and I think there are a lot of like minor issues that we make regarding maybe vision and such and helping each other, but I just think we don't even have much of a clue of what to do sometimes. Even if we understand the big picture, kind of getting there, we skip a lot of steps a lot. It's just pretty bad. So we need to kind of get coached out of our system, but that takes quite some time. So we, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, our mid game is just awful. We just need to try to look to improve on that as much as we can, because I think our early game tends to be okay, which is better than getting crushed in the early game as well. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that you guys actually have a pretty decent early game for most of the games that we've been able to watch, and you know, hopefully you do get more reps on more comfortable comps, and you can have the better performances in the mid game.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Thanks.
Well, likewise, yeah. Lovely to meet you for the first time here, Vendrick. And I suppose
no worries.
the question becomes a case of like, how have you found it? Obviously, you've been quite honest in your sort of admission there beforehand, but is it a case of people don't truly understand like the differences between like high-level solo queue into amateur tournaments into like a pro-level tournament, be it the LCO? Is it sort of like your expectations don't necessarily line up with the reality because it's more time or more punishment, or sort of what has been your experience this split?
Well, because I've played a lot of amateur, too much amateur perhaps, and it's definitely a lot different. I mean, when I was an amateur, we were scrimming LCO teams a lot when I was good, yeah, no, they weren't too bad, but I think playing LCO is just, it seems as if things are a lot more difficult to play now. Like when I was playing an amateur, it was really easy just to focus on myself, and now I feel like I'm more of a part of a whole, more so. And I feel like I need to do more potentially. At least that's what it seems like. And it's the game is a lot more complicated. It's especially when inting a lot. There's a lot of like pressure and stress, and like we lose if we don't do this behind a lot of the inty looking decisions that are made. Perhaps we are a little bit dizzy at the time, but yeah.
Is it almost a bit like having like the horse blinkers on? Like maybe an amateur, you're very much like, I can just focus on my bot lane, as long as I win my lane, I'm okay. Whereas you come to the competitive scene here, and it's like you need to all be on the same page. We're timing summoners, we're linking up. I want to try and make this move. Let's rotate around the map, and that's taking a little bit of time to try and adjust to.
There's a lot more like linking up and just like macro and like tempo related stuff. Like when I was an amateur, we didn't necessarily think about tempo and such very much, but now we get absolutely crushed. Especially we have a habit of skipping steps a lot, and it's just like you just get. It works if you're versing amateur teams or teams that aren't like, I don't know, Bliss or something, but you verse Bliss and you just kind of you hit something. And I was like, yeah, makes sense, I guess. And you just kind of bleed out. You need to have like a pretty good idea of how to play the game and be pretty decisive with a lot of things. And we're just not there yet. But yeah, it's definitely a very large step up, and it's almost incomparable to solo queue. It's very interesting, for sure.
Whole nother ball game. maybe even a whole nother just game. Well, Vendrick, thank you so much for coming onto the desk for us for the first time. It's great to have you here. It's so good to have the redheads back at it again. Triplets are looking so cute.
Good luck. Let's go.
Good luck in your games. I see you got a lot to focus on. We can't wait to see it happen.
Thank you very much for having me.
Sorry, Tally. Had to, just...
You guys
like,
dye your hair?
I'm gonna just dye my hair real quickly, BRB guys. Like,
He's coming back, it's just like that bright red, almost like siren red. You're like, oh, Tally, I don't know if that's the call, mate. But no, at least they're aware of what's going on, right? I think that's the big
very
thing.
self-aware.
Like, so honest about it. Like, they know that they're not doing too well, but they're at least working on it. Like, it's that self-improvement and the awareness again is so critical, Tally.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very evident that he's trying to diagnose the problem, and I think that's really good to see. You know, he's not being delusional. It's like, just unlucky this week. You know, we'll get him next week. He's always making sure that, I don't really understand this. Why? You know, I want to figure this out. Like, I got to work with my team, work with my coaching staff, and make sure that, you know, we can improve overall. And he's thinking about the big scheme as well, thinking about next year, which is also really nice to see. So hopefully his improvement as a player, you know, throughout the years just is a very good trajectory.
Yeah. And talking about trajectory, we have the other side of the coin looking to join us on the desk. It is Raze over on the side of Antic. Mate, we just heard from Vendrick saying he's working on a couple things. Have you been working on anything, or are we just going to see a star-studded performance again?
Well, yeah, we just played, we played a game yesterday and we got smacked by Bliss, so we have a lot of things to work on, and luckily we have an extra week to work on it, so yeah.
Well, Matt, I did like, again, I like that too. I wouldn't say you guys got smacked. I'd say you guys put up a damn good fight, and I think that's noteworthy of itself. What have you sort of maybe focused on off that series coming into this one?
I think the most important thing is just to be on the same page, and also, like, to just be less scared. We were a bit scared in that series, just the entire series, I think, so yeah, I think those are the two most important things.
Yeah, okay. Well, fair enough. I think it's good self-awareness too. Wait, is that a cat?
Yeah, she's sitting on the desk in front of me.
The right spot.
Really getting yanked before the game starts.
Tally.
Yeah, I guess I want to dive a bit more on yesterday's series. You already mentioned that you believed you got smashed. I think individually you performed pretty well, especially in the first game, but I want to know, like, what you think is the major pain points. So I asked Vendrick what he thought, like, his team was struggling with, and I want to know, like, what you think is, like, the major pain points with your, team at the moment.
It's hard to say. I think we have... Yeah, I think mainly it just comes down to both games yesterday. We kind of failed, like, the first grubs in the first game, and then the second game was the second grub, so I guess, like, our early game objectives are a bit suspicious, I'd say. I'm not sure. Like, we don't know if we can actually win the fights or not. So, yeah, it's probably, like, our biggest weakness right now.
All right, well, yeah, hope you can absolutely improve on that. And, Skimmy's maybe got an absolute banger of a question lined up.
Oh,
sadly, no. Skinny, I have to do it to you. I have to cut you off, mate.
I've been
we're running a little bit ahead.
My Kiwi friendship denied.
I know. I'm so well. You know what?
We'll see him in the post-game interview.
Yeah, that's tragedy. Right. Yeah, we'll get you back for post-game race. How's that sound?
Okay. If we win,
well, Raze, I'm so sorry to rush you. Thank you so much for coming on, though. We can't wait to see you get out there. Good luck in your series tonight.
Thank you.
I feel bad, Skimmy, but that's
okay. Him, man. Come on.
It's
I know,
okay.
you did so good.
Tally went full host mode. It was crazy.
I had to. That's the first time I've ever said no to you, Skimmy. I kind of liked the power I just got. But that's okay, because right now I'm going to influence a bit more power and say, let's show some side selects and see where these teams are deciding to go. Both opting for blue, though, Tally, which is looking pretty good. Both teams really want to have that first pick. Not too worried about the counter pick. And that's all right too. And again, still breezing right on through. Don't forget, if you want to pick your team, get those channel points in up in the corner, right up there. That's where you want to do it. Tally, you need a point for me too, real quick. There you go. Skimmy, hit him with a point.
Oh,
yeah, there you go. Actually did the opposite direction. That's fine. Don't worry about it. But those points are all yours for the taking. Let's have a look at our talent predictions and see what we're going for. So you, Twitch Captain, take our votes. We've all said the 2-0. Look, we'll have to see how this one fans out. I don't know. Tally, yours looks pretty good. Feel like it's a bit copy and paste again. Come on, brother. You better than that.
Actually, I got my predictions in first today, so
Lies.
I feel like
That-
you guys
Mine
are-
were
yeah,
in
that's-
from
that's
last
a
night.
straight lie.
Check the logs. Mogged.
Yeah,
Incorrect.
I did actually see that.
Mogged.
I knew that. He was ready to go. I copied Skimmy.
I've filled out the entire schedule already. I already know the rest of the rest
The
of
entire split, bro's got
the
the...
entire split. It's done.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, all right. I'm
Bro's
gonna go back
right
and check
to the
now.
page.
You guys get to go into this game. I'm gonna be looking at the thing going like, oh, I wonder what he's done. I'm gonna screenshot it. And I'm just gonna send it to production and be like, this is what happens. So we'll have to see how that looks. But still, 2-0 though, Skimmy. Feeling pretty confident?
I feel like today is very one-sided in both series. I feel like the expected winner should take it the clean 2-0, and I think to Tally's point before as well, you would expect Antic to look at Kanga's current form and say, we need to get these games really clean, really quick, and make sure that, yeah, if we're struggling here, then we've got a lot more issues than we may have thought we did.
Yeah. Clean, quick games. Quick transitions is what I like to do because we're going straight into the first series with these two teams. Skimmy, Tally, have some fun for me.
Cheers, Pike, mate. Let's
do.
let ourselves in then for that second BO2. Kanga then opting for the blue side as Antic will take to the red. They'll be switching around for that second game. But look at this. We're back to the Syndra ban. Someone got a chance to play it. It didn't work out for him. But I tell you what, to receive a Fiddlesticks respect ban must feel good for Refury.
I think that's it's just a really good ban, honestly. When you verse these teams that are really, volatile, especially Kanga, you don't want champs like Fiddlesticks to be in the game because, Refury looked pretty proficient on it in his matchup. And if if that champ does get ahead, he can especially take over team fights if you do not keep track of it. And I think that the team that was versing Fiddle did a really good job at keeping track of it, always making sure it was unable to, find these really good engages. But Antic are just like, no, we don't want to deal with it. It's just something that we're not used to playing against, so just removed it altogether.
Yeah, it's an unknown quantity. It's too different to what we're used to playing against. Let's remove it and prevent the possible cheese, even if it's not going to be looked at. So Skunner comes out as that first pick priority. Obviously very, very strong. We've seen it a few times already this week as well. But it is very much more leaning towards that top half of the map. Out comes the Rumble then. Zomina certainly wants to be that absolute lane bully. But are we going to continue this narrative of Nautilus is that must-pick support? And yes, we are.
Yeah, this is just the Dracu staple pick now. I think that we're expected to see, 3 winning lanes for the Antic roster. And, when we look at the Kanga side, how are they going to be able to deal with that on the blue side when they are blind picking a lot of their lanes and they really have to navigate these really hard matchups, especially when, Foreigner is someone who is really good at abusing the early game and we see him being someone who has such high first blood percentage.
Certainly is, yeah. He's right up there with the likes of Dracu, so certainly when those two can link together, it's a pretty scary outcome. And I mean, a lot of the questions we were asking before this one is like, how do Kanga look to try and bridge the differences between these two teams? Obviously, Antic have so much more experience under their belt, and I think for me, the fact was try and draft as much early game aggression as possible. You saw them have a massive focus towards the solution last night. Went with the Milio, then with the Nami, and I think this is certainly the best case scenario of give yourself the easiest comp to execute and not try and make it so difficult that you do find yourself getting dizzy.
Yeah, and Vendrick mentioned this in the interview. He said that if these teams keep leaving up, the same champs, they're going to keep playing them over and over and over. And even though Kanga haven't picked up a win yet, I think every single Lucian Nami game they have played, Vendrick and Gavin have been doing very well in the 2v2, outplaying in these skirmishes, always being fed going into the mid game, but just being unable to execute on what is happening on the rest of the map. So I think that it is a good pick for their team, especially even though you would think, oh, they have Nautilus, don't want to play Lucian into that because it just denies me the ability to dash forward and punish the lane. It is still just a very good scaling duo and something that fits their comp, especially with the strong front line coming out of Wudon.
But to play on the flip side, and I actually wrote this down going into this one, right, thinking, okay, what could the response be from the side of Antic? Why not just play the most OP champions, it seems, right? You lock in the Kaiser, you've got the Nautilus, very, very strong 2v2, which they obviously got a bit of a taste of it, up against Violet and Aladoric. So we're just going to try and see what the Reiku partnership can look to do, and if it is as OP as it is made out to be. They're going to go and ban away the Corki as well as the Orianna for Kanga. They say, you know what, Foreigner, too comfortable on that Viego. Same for the Xin. I mean, some, pretty nice bans to try and remove some of that early game volatility.
Yeah, and I wonder what Antic are going to look like. Do they want this Rumble to be solo AP? Do they want, to pick the AD mid laner? It could probably be Yone or something similar for Incursio, because I'm not really sure how big his champion pool is when it comes to these AD champs. But, he still has all the options of these AP champs, and Nocturne, a very underrated champion, especially in competitive. A lot of people think about Nocturne being, he's just a really strong duelist and a good engaged champ. But the darkness that comes from the ult is such an underrated tool, especially in environments where you can abuse communication. You know, Draco can communicate, all right, turn the lights out, throws out a flash hook. All of a sudden, no one can see the engage coming. Or, you know, Zornis can do the same with his equalizer and just really, you know, blow the map up. So, you know, looking at the Kanga roster, if they do not lock in a lot of CC, this could be a Katarina angle, Skimmy.
It certainly could be Katarina angle. We are working our way towards that. Once upon a time, I would have said, slam in Lissandra. We're just hunting for resets. The lights go out. You can't move your character. You're not having a whole lot of fun. But it's great to see that the Nocturne is back. Certainly was a meta where it was paired with the Fiddlesticks and sometimes even up against. And maybe makes a little bit more sense why it's not just about removing volatility, but making it easier overall. They're going to go for the LeBlanc and Twisted Fate. Do they want to go for the one isolated AP pick, or
Skimmy.
is it Katarina time?
It is, okay, if there was an angle for Katarina, this is it. Even though there is, you know, the bad matchup of LeBlanc and the gold card of the Zed, there is a lot of assassin angles for Incursio here, and if he is confident in himself, this is the time to pick it. You're versing so many squishy champions. You allow Rubble to be that solo AP, and we finally get to see the Zed.
Yeah, if it's not going to be the Katarina, it'll be a different assassin, and it'll give them that AD solution. We mentioned before, right, yesterday, saying he'd not played any AD champions at all this split. Comes out with a Yone, we're thinking, hallelujah, we finally found that level of, you know, drafting diversity. And he says, I'll go one step further. Let's go for the Zed. And it's near enough to the Katarina. Like, surely, right, it's still an assassin. Surely we're happy.
Yeah, no, we're definitely happy. It's a bit more active than the Katarina in the early game. I think Zed has a much better lane, a lot better in the late game department. You know, it's Katarina needs to snowball, needs to be able to be a strong, I'll get a lot of kills or experience in the early game to be able to snowball and bridge that, you know, volatility in her kit in the mid-late game. Whereas Zed runs the TP, can scale up, will be a winning side lane, especially when he gets all that armor pen. He can be a champ that can one-shot the Skarner if all these shurikens land when he gets a huge amount of cooldown reduction later on in the game.
So much to get excited for here, and I think it's kind of fantastic, right, that we found ourselves in this point of the season where obviously there's enough reps now globally for teams to look around and get inspired, and I think the initial return of the likes of LEC, LCK, and so on meant that our teams did improve as they said, okay, you know, is our approach actually aligned with the rest of the world? But as it's gone on and on and on, now teams are just starting to experiment and say, you know, would this actually work in OS? Like, could we actually try and, you know, sneak away a win with this pick? And I'm all for it. I'm loving the fact that we're getting more and more experimentation as we get closer and closer, with teams feeling that much more confident with their ability to have already secured their spot in the playoffs. I suppose the question now, Tally, becomes, what should we be in store for today? What are we expecting? And I think especially in that mid lane with a Zed up against an LB.
I think the bot lane matchup, you know, while it is not a one-sided matchup, it's just, I think the experience and the level of skill Antic have shown, even in that game against Bliss yesterday, they should be winning this bot lane pretty hard. And if Draco is freed up and is able to roam and impact the map, Incursio can be allowed to snowball then with the grouping up of his teammates. And that's when Zed really starts to shine. You know, finding those early kills and snowballing is what Zed is really good at. In the 1v1, it's going to be LeBlanc favored, of course, but still going to be able to farm, still going to be able to scale, especially with, you know, having 3 potions, having TP. He's not going to be too worried about the early game. But Wudon might be a bit worried about a dredge line hitting him right now.
He's got to show a lot of respect right now, but thankfully can just navigate behind that wall. A second wall there to try and block it on out. Will we get a flash to try and follow? No, simply just a Nautilus auto attack to reach your own place and try and cause a little bit of panic, but none to be found on this occasion. So, second time we've seen that play happen from the very get-go. We've already grouped up as 5 to try and find something in the tri-bush, but the second time they've gotten away.
Yeah, it's like a repeat of what we saw in the past. The Nautilus hook lands, but Nautilus doesn't get dragged all the way to the champion because of the way the hitbox works. You know, there's 2 separate hitboxes with the wall hook and the champion hook, so it isn't able to follow up with that auto attack route. But we are seeing the lane swap coming out of Kanga, so they do not want to deal with this Nautilus Kai'Sa in the early game. They want to find that first couple of levels on the Lucian Nami where they're not so strong, get an early reset, and then match these lanes again. I think Wudon positioning around mid here is really, really good. If this is a gold card into a potential chain coming out of Sovereign, this could be a lot of health being lost by Incursio.
It could be. Out goes the damage then. What can be followed up as a result? Sovereign looking to try and drop him down. Electrocute procs, which is nice. And just above 50% is the threshold he finds himself on, as Wudon continues to say, well, I don't actually want to go to bot lane. That sucks. Really not interested. A ward going across the wall. He's level 1 and just acting as a second support.
Yeah, well, Zornis, even though they did not expect his lane swap to come out, you know, they were caught off guard, Zornis is still catching all this experience in top lane, whereas Wudon taking away experience from his mid, or just playing outside of experience and not really stealing it. He just wants to be able to get some level, some part in the early game, because, you know, we've seen this so many times when Twisted Fate gets lane swapped on and is still useful in the mid game because he can just throw out a gold card. That's his only job. You know, same time he is losing farm, Skinny and Curcio still having a rough time getting the CS, but they are all getting this experience, which Zoranus is sharing with Sovereign right now.
Yeah, it's a weird situation, right? The fact that we find ourselves in a case of double lane swaps, two very aggressive bot lanes, both saying, you know what, we just want to impact the map elsewhere. So that's a massive wave about to crash. And it becomes a bit of a guessing game as to who can get more accomplished with this one, because whilst the bot laner Kanga seemingly is looking to reset, no, they're going to cancel it at the very last second, maybe based on the fact that Antic is saying, look, we're just going to crash this wave and set up a siege.
This is going to be a hard dive. Rumble does a lot of damage here, Skimmy, and I'm not quite sure they have the burst to be able to take him out.
No, they're going to find one with the assistance of that tower, second one soon to follow. There it is, as easy as you like. It's such a rough one as you called on out. And Zoranus, I mean, he's just laughing straight to the bank. Their bot lane is still winning. Nobody is there. But elsewhere, they're just getting the kills too.
Yeah, TP's back. We're used to seeing Rumble, especially in these volatile matchups, you know, take the combat summoner to really punish him, you know, whether that's the Ignite or even the Cleanse to deal with the gold card CC coming out in the mid game. But has the TP, which means he's going to teleport back to lane, get all this experience that he would have lost from the initial dive, pick up the double kill, and be the richest person on the map right now.
Crazy set of events there. And a real curious case of why, really? Why do we overforce that one so desperately, knowing that the Rumble is so strong? They look for the Zed. Oh, the fadeaway boulder! Nicely done there by Fury. Goes to the flash, just breaks the tether on that fear, but doesn't prevent himself from falling on down. So double buff successfully transferred over, and Foreigner's a happy man.
Yeah, a lot of action happening in the early game, especially with this lane swap. But the real winner of this will be, you know, Zoranus in his 1v1. He's supposed to be the person who falls behind the most because Kanga are the ones who initiate the swap. And Gudon should be on the front foot to be able to get some experience by like hiding in a bush or something, but decides to be the aggressor onto the mid wave. Really wants Sovereign to be able to win his 1v1, you know, be able to snowball. Because LeBlanc, if she is able to get ahead, is a champion who can absolutely take over the game.
You certainly have seen many proficient LeBlancs over the years, not only domestically but internationally. You know just how slippery that champion can be. And I'm always going to remember that one game from Harry up against the dire walls, looking at Katsuri, across the wall, bang, dead. I mean, it's just so annoying. What is the outplay to that? Just don't play the game, apparently. Just never actually step outside your base.
Left my fountain, my bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, play safe. How? How do you want me when this champion has 15 different dashes to shut me down? Anyway, 5 minutes into this one then. Up by 700 gold. Antic going to be very happy about how things have played out, given the chaos with that lane swap. Obviously, the fact that double kill went to the Rumble. They basically took half the plates in the bot lane as well. And Raze is up by a sizable amount of CS2.
Yeah, the experience was going to be pretty similar in the bot lane though, and that's the major thing in the early game. Experience is more important than the CS. A lot of the item advantages won't really equate to any, or the CS leads won't really equate to any sizable item advantages at this point in the game, but it's going to talk about those first item spikes and these first kills, especially ones we're going to find into Refree when he overextends in the river. There's
the death marker for a second. I thought Incursio was cosplaying Lemus for a second. He's stuck inside the wall there thinking, where do I go? Does get pushed out, and thankfully for him, gets pushed out to find himself a kill.
Yeah, very easy pickup, and this is like priority. This is what I always wanted to see from Incursio, you know. Priority comes out of bot lane. Incursio doesn't have priority in the mid because of his matchups. You know, he's playing these weaker early game champs, but he can rotate to these fights and be a strong skirmisher. And this is what I think he excels at, and what I'd like to see Antic keep honing in on.
Yeah, you mentioned last night, right? More towards playing the Silas and all those other aggressive champions. So it's also going to be very aggressive. The gold card is not there. The flash away denies that second turret shot, which would have been lethal. And this Rumble, even without that combat summoner with the Ignite, is a massive, massive problem.
Yeah. Wudon goes for the insta card locked in, praying it was a gold card, because if that was, there would have been the kill going over to Zoranus as the Wudon as the trade, but you know, it was the blue card, doesn't find the trade, and a really nice solo kill from Zoranus. So he picks up the Merc Treads, already has the components working towards the Leandries. He's going to be very safe with these tier 2 boots, especially against the duo of Twisted Fate and Skarner.
Absolutely, even without that flash being available, certainly a warning sign that, hey, look, Refia, if you come to my lane, you might also fall victim to a bit of a cheeky 1v2, so don't entertain it. Go elsewhere and try and bail out somewhere else on the map. Easy said than done, though, because he is very much falling behind the pace that a Nocturne can offer.
Yeah, I think that Foreigner's doing a really good job in the early game. playing for those counter ganks is the major thing you want to see from the Nocturne. You don't want to see him being proactive pre-6. He's not a very good ganker. He's just a good counter ganker and a good duelist. So if they do commit to these grubs and Foreigner does decide to walk in, it's going to be a very one-sided affair, especially since he has that ult advantage.
Certainly does. We always talk about that first paranoia. Needs to land, needs to find success with it, and I think he's got so many different options as to when he needs to use it. He doesn't need to feel too anxious as to rushing that one anytime soon. You just saw the amount of pressure coming out of this Rumble, so much so that drops Wood onto 50%. He panic pops the Ghost just to simply get disengaged from. So it does really go from bad to worse here as the Gold League continues to build up very steadily in an Antic favoured fashion, as to be expected given the matchup. But two of those grubs do go the way of Antic, with Fury protecting Woodham for a potential dive. They are going to finally see that Foreigner is popping away.
And do you see an aggressive dash coming out of Vendrick, and this is the power of the Lucian. You know, when the Dredge line is on cooldown, he can dash forward, and his damage will be quite unmatched, and the culling does come out. Dracu's not quite 6 yet, does get the level up, and this might be Vendrick going down.
That could be the case. As soon as he hits level 6, instant flash, lock in place with the root, and then go for the ultimate thereafter. But they realize the damage is not there. Another flash having to also be burnt, showing a lot of respect to the Lucian Nami, hoping that Inkusu can rock up in time. That's a crazy interaction between the bubble and the hook. The hook always connects. Their Deathmark fadeaway kill. And Incursio and these assassins, it's something special.
Yeah, this is one of Incursio's very underrated strength is his roam time. He's always very good at impacting the map. And, you know, we'll keep seeing solo kills happen top, honestly, Skimmy. It's an unwinnable matchup for Wudon right now. You know, it's just way too one-sided for Zorinus. And Sovereign does find an execute onto Raze. You know, I think it was a bit of disrespect from his team there. Just allowed him to walk up and land his full combo onto the low member of Raze. Did have the barrier, but didn't really think that damage was going to land and would mean lethal for him. And
it caught me off guard as well, to be quite frank with you. I did not expect to see that whatsoever. Now they do turn around, and Race is just thinking, why didn't you guys do that whilst I was still there underneath the tower? I understand how it is. You just want to have Incursio as your new bot lane partner. That is just how it is. So Ray's already pathing back to mid lane and saying, Dracu, our relationship, we've broken up.
yeah, we're going to go tune in on top lane and just see this solo kill. It's just going to be the equalizer dropped by Zorinus into, you know, this is the power of the Harpoon from Rumble. You know, you land one, you throw the equalizer, guarantees the second, and there's just so much damage, especially with combine that with the slow, and we might see Wudon go down again thanks to how much tenacity Zorinus has right now.
I mean, do you even need to play-by-play this at this point, Tally? I mean, look at Zorinus' camera. I think he's even sort of like shell-shocked by, why am I this strong? I'm overheating, and my auto attacks hit like an absolute juggernaut.
He's overheating in-game and IRL right now. He's a bit too fed on the Rumble. But, you know, an engage coming out of Foreigner right now is going to punish the summoners from Gavin.
Yep, the lights go out, the hook comes in, and it's a very dead fish. Nami, unfortunately, long for the worlds, and is taken out in a heartbeat. That's what you love to see from the very first ultimate of the Nocturne, and making sure that Foreigner continues to keep his foot on the gas.
Yeah, and I really like to see the static shift coming out of Raze. I think that we're seeing Kraken as the default for Kai'Sa, but there are angles where the static shift can be better. You know, when you don't have as much uptime onto the enemy team, you see much more of a squishy roster coming out of Kanga. You know, Shiv does give you more stats, you get more AD and more attack speed, so it's just nicer for finding those evolutions a bit faster and being stronger in the early game. And we see, once again, Draco just always being aggressive in the bot lane. This is what we think about when we see him on the Nola. It's just always trying to find that hook angle, follow up with a kill instinct, and find those easy 2v2s.
Certainly is one of the very much premier support players, especially when it comes to engaging. Not going to be too afraid whatsoever. Fury.
dragon. Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
Fiery spirit of the Euro Inferno!
Welcome back. Well, I don't know really what happened there. Either way, maybe it's a bit of, foreshadowing. We talked about the Zoranus overheating in game, in person. Even ourselves overheating. We just completely lost connection to that game. So maybe just got to enjoy a little bit of League of Legends ASMR. No distractions from myself and Tally. But we're back into the fold of things finally. 2 dragons being picked up here by Antic. They got 5 grubs. The objectives are their best friend right now. And this would seem that after taking that turret, that tier 1 in the bot lane, Kanga once again want to try and find that initiation. The tidal wave expires. Sovereign jumps in with the tether chains, but they can't find the kill.
TP.
Out comes the Destiny. There is the TP, and there is so much damage. They instantly flash that wall, and Zoranus, I tell you what, he's saying, come back here. I'm not finished. If you're not going to fight me, you're going to have to fight my Fed assassin player. The lights go out. Foreigner is top lane, but he's putting so much utility in across the map.
What a banger scheme. You know, we come back from the IRL Nocturne ult, straight back into another Nocturne ult, and the map is just absolutely exploding, and I think this is nice to see from Antic. We were commenting on how they didn't really have that team cohesion yesterday, but right now we're seeing gank happening, bot lane from Kanga, teleport in response from Zoranus. Foreigner covers the top side by using his ult to, really take out Wudon, and he's trying to steal away the blue right now, but, Rifu really wants to be able to defend this camp, and he might be aggressing onto Foreigner if he does stay around for too long.
Yeah, looks like because there's no smite, he's just going to pay respects and just walk out of that situation. But I think in terms of the questions we came into this series with, we wanted to see a clean series from Antic. I think so far it's, it's ticking all the boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we are seeing the same, similar style from Kanga as well. I think that they don't have necessarily really bad early games, but especially against a really good roster like Antic, based on yesterday's game, you'd think that Antic weren't in a really good form, but I think that just goes to show how good, our top 2 teams are in Grand Zero and Bliss. They just look so... It looks like there's a clear order when it comes to the 1, 2, 3 teams, but I still think Antic are a very good roster and they know how to play the game, and it's nice to see they are locking in on this play style that I really wanted to see coming out of the roster.
Let's see then. With this lead that they have, up by 7,500 gold, what they can really do with this, because Kanga showing a great deal of restraint. They've tried and tried again with this Lucian Nami to try and get the job started. It's not been successful for them. And it's a case of, do these side lanes even exist? I don't believe that is the case. It's a little bit too rough for them, and it's a case of just play safe. How do you play safe there, Tally? You cannot. They come from every single inch. They're literally hiding in your walls.
That's... That is, you're playing the weak side TF, you're 1 in 5, you're like, alright, they're not going to invest in resources to me, and all of a sudden you see the Avengers come over the wall and just absolutely, take your life. Easy kill pick up for them, easy tower pick up for Zoranus. He is so fed in this Rumble, and we all know how powerful these solo AP champs are, especially when they get so much gold. He's level 12 Skimmy. These harpoons are going to hurt.
Oh, they really are hurting. It's a little bit too much to try and deal with right now. I don't actually know how Kanga stopped them. Quite honestly, they group up, they just push a lane. They say, what are you going to do about it? That level of disrespect in terms of we're just so good. And you shouldn't really expect any other outcome. I will say, though, there is a world in which potentially something crazy can happen at the objective. Maybe a little bit of, cheeky shenanigans. But these side lanes, that is the biggest problem now.
Yeah, this is the major strength for Antic's comp, paired with the Nocturne. Side lanes are their main win condition. One of the strengths of Nocturne is you can really cover up for these weaker side laners, but thankfully for Antic, they have these 2 really strong side laners which can enable the Nocturne to be even better. So they have multiple engaged avenues with having priority on bot and top to collapse on mid. Or, if they want to use the Kais and Olis to move to the side lanes, as Wudon, unfortunately, might be falling down again to, this Zoranus who has 2 items already at 16 minutes.
It's just not fair. Dude hits the ghost, he's running from his problems. And I think Zoranus doesn't actually know how to play the game. And that's a good thing, because he's probably like, I've never been this fed this early on. I don't even understand my own damage right now, as here we go again for a little bit of cheeky shenanigans. The lights go out, Incursio jumps in, he can't get it done on his own, the flash to try and confuse them, they go for the clone! Sovereign may just be the GOAT.
Shadow Clone Jutsu never fails, Skimmy. You know, if you're a LeBlanc, if you're caught out, if you think you're gonna die, just stand still and run the clone off into the, you know, enemy jungle, and you'll always get out of there every time, I swear to God.
It's just too easy. It's just too easy.
Oh, no.
Shenanigans, wood on, wood on. Oh no, oh no. We're about to hit the promised land of a 0-10 Yasuo. He's 1-8 so far. Stop, Zoranus, you're doing too much damage. Double kill on this occasion, though, is to be picked up by Raze, as he is very much hot on his heels to try and see who can get the most kills in this game.
Yeah, and another nice thing when you think about Antic's comp is Raze is able to build towards this AP, so he can be this champ, you know, functions as an AD threat in the early game, and he can really itemize his build based on what's happening in the game. If Zoranus falls behind, he can be the AP threat, because Kanga's comp is not good into this Kai'Sa poke, but, you know, if he's versing something where he wants to go a lot more for that on-hit, be the AD threat, you know, he has the options. This is such a nice thing about Kai'Sa, and it's just a nice blanket cover in the draft.
So much flexibility, what a fantastic champ. This is just so unfortunate. Like, hey guys, I'm here for the gank, I'm dead.
Yeah, and Zoranus just drops the equalizer on every single member who was in mid lane from Kanga, and it does so much damage at this point. You know, we're used to seeing, you know, you think of old Rumbles where they would go like the Death Cap second, be these insanely strong, you know, burst champions, but Rumble's more of a very Bruiser-esque champ now, you know, builds these double Leandry's items, or double, you know, I can't remember what the component's called, but, you know, builds these items where a lot more burn, a lot more health in the, you know, early game parts of the game, so just a different champion overall, but still has that same damage output.
Different breed, as you say, right? So much damage, so tanky. You're thinking, I guess this is where we are in Season 14. Every champion just has so much to try and get through. You could probably go on like a bit of a boomerang, you know? Back in my day, these champions used to have, you know, a tumble. They went invisible, and you went, oh my god, that's insane. It's the best. And now it's like 15 billion dashes.
Oh, here we go.
It's a tank, by the way. Wood on. Come on. What can we do? It's a 1v4. This Rumble, unleashed. Zoranus dropped the nuke. There he goes, on the flame carpet. He's at the Oscars. He's got the nice tux on. It's pressed, it's clean, it's ready to go. But he's got drunk at the after party. He's fallen on down, and Sovereign's taken him out on this occasion. Actually found himself a double kill, which is quite nice. Can he find much more than that? This time he doesn't have the luxury of those clones, but here comes Fauna. You banned away my Viego. I'm mad. So I'm going to kill you as this Nocturne, and a pesky little wall might deny Draku for the meantime. He's still hunting. And that blast code actually allows him to continue hunting, Tally.
Ooh, I'm not sure if they have the damage. If they do get the CC onto him, Fauna will absolutely be able to take him out, but you know, Kanga aren't going to feel too bad about that trade. You know, they pick up all the shutdowns on the crucial members. You know, Sovereign is getting quite Boundless LeBlanc. Well, it may look like an absolute mountain to climb to be able to win this game. You know, it's still, they are getting some little wins from these overextensions coming out of the Antic members.
But it certainly did take an entire army. The Avengers had to be summoned here to set up yet another game of who can kill the Rumble. And it took 4 members, Tally.
Yeah, and they really tried to take out Zoranus, but he bought so much time, already trading 1-for-1, so his job is done, and Cursor throws out the TP, the bot lane rotates over, Foreigner rotates with the, you know, the paranoia to make sure he can collapse and finish off the members as well. Just really well played in the skirmish to the majority of the Kanga members to really find those shutdowns and get some gold on board.
Let's see what is left in the tank. Are there any twists or turns to still come in this one? With the Baron now having spawned at the 20-minute mark, Antic instantly turned their attention towards that one. It is a very uphill battle. It would be the biggest cardio workout to try and run from your base all the way over to that Baron and hope that you can try and make a miracle occur. But Kanga have to do something. They can't just sit back here and continue to bleed out slowly. They'll look to really turn their attention onto any target that gets within their grasp. But it is a very split occasion, even on the Antic side. As Raze jumps in, instantly wipes the floor of them, showcasing that with the double items, he'll get himself a double kill. Fury pretending to be the wolf camp, and it just goes for a cheeky little drift, tries to assassinate Incursio. He says, I've got clones just like your mid laner, you can't catch me, but what he can do is ruin the perfect KDA for Foreigner. That's his first death of this game. I tell you what, Skarner, doesn't matter if it's top lane or jungle, it's a damn tanky Scorpion.
Yeah, what an absolute beast from Fury there, you know, trying his best to win the 1v3, but just doesn't have enough energy left in the tank to be able to do anything there. So much damage coming out of the Antic roster, pick up the double inhibitor, and, you know, this might just be another kill for Zoranus. It just looks so easy for him, but he does trade his life in the end, so some more gold going over to the carries of Kanga, and, you know, Skimmy, I've seen worse games being won in solo queue, you know. It's not like I wouldn't bet my life that this is the Antic win right now, but I will be very confident that this is a very easy game for them to close out.
No doubt about it. I mean, you look at the map, triple inhibitors have to be picked up. This would be the craziest upset if it were to go Kanga's way, because look how much gold they're up by. And this is the desperation, and this is really a forced move that they had to entertain, but very scrappy. So many individual 1v1s or 2v2s.
Yeah, and this is just the, Foreigner goes in, lands the CC. Oh, actually, no, sorry. Raze lands the Void Seeker, so he's able to go in with these ult, find the easy kills, and I think that's just a really good job of, you guys left your backline open, we're diving onto them without, assassins.
We certainly have a lot of damage threats. It could be literally any of these champions that dive at you. They are all assassins at this point of the game, Draco included, to be quite fair. Very scary prospects. Incursio says, we want to go for the end, you want to go for the base. I won't let that happen. Actually just going to sit on top of Gavin and say, that could be nice.
Oh.
You can hit me with the full combo, and maybe you do get away. But in the end, no, does get denied. Inside the base, the rest of his squad looks to wipe the floor, and they'll try and set up their last valiant defense, stuck inside the fountain, utilizing that region to try and allow them to fight back. And can they fight it? It's not to be. The barrier this time used to great success. Raze won't die a third time. Not to the hands of that pesky LeBlanc, like underneath that tier 1 very early on into that laning phase. But 23 minutes in, Antic do put this game 1 to rest.
Yeah, very, very clean performance from Antic. Just pure lane domination coming out of the entire side. I think that everyone performed individually really well. Kanga still trying to find that first win scheme, and I think they're going to have to change up quite a lot, especially into the surprise assassin picks coming out of Incursio.
Yeah, it's a really tall order at this point now. We talked about some of the last games they had left to close out this season. They've struggled, they certainly have, but the admission from Vendrick before, a very honest one, very candid one, and I think it paints a very accurate picture that this has been a tough series, but a tough season for them to get to grips with what life is like when you take that next step up into the competitive landscape. At the break then, it is Antic that lead this series 1-0.